Yeah.
And we're back. And look who's with me.
Hi.
It's the Good Witch of Hollywood herself, Miss Patti Negri.
And I do apologize. Everyone's going, you have your glasses on. I know. If I take them off, I could do it. But my hair stood straight up. I did it over there. It's like electric here. You did that.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll take them off. But I took them off and they went, woo!
It's like, wee! So I did have you last year, an interview last year, but we'll kind of like hit the points for anyone who doesn't know, which I was like, how do you not know this woman? She's amazing. Like, so give us a little bit of your background and when you started and how all that got started with your mediumship.
Okay, I've always had the gift. And I really think kids do. I really think I knew my little friends, literally almost cliche, in the closet and here and there and under the bed, the guy under the bed. They weren't imaginary friends like we're told all the time. No, they were real beings that I could get real information from. And it just didn't get taught out of me. My mom just said, yeah, grandma did that. So it was cool. And even on the witchy side of things, I would be in my little suburban Los Angeles backyard picking herbs and rosemary out of my mom's garden and stuffing it in my purse, going, this will give her more money. And this, before I ever studied it.
Right, before you know, it's like, it's picking up the shiny rocks and sticks and going like, ooh,
this is what this is, and this is what this will do, and it'll bring in this. So it's always been a part of who I am. I would drive literally, in the back seat of the car, and I would drive by a church or a temple or a mosque or a park, and I'd see the energy and I'd see the people and I'd want to go in, but we didn't have any kind of a spiritual or religious background. So I think I was 13 and I asked my mom, I wanted to go to, I think, a real traditional Christian church with my mom, and I was like, could we go to these weird places that we don't talk about? And she goes, you can do anything you want. And I became a seeker. So I started studying everything, every religion, every philosophy, just to kind of explain what I did from the energetics, whatever template you put on top of it. So whether you're using a Judeo-Christian or whether you're using New Age or old pagan, which I ended up in, or science terms, like my grandfather was this very academic, philosophical atheist, but I read his books now and they almost outline with me, though I believe everything is real and right, and his everything, it's just the energy at the base of it, whatever word you use.
The base of it's the same, but the words change. Yeah.
But I kept this world completely separate because I was in Hollywood, I was an actor in Hollywood, I was a dancer, and then I became a producer and really corporate. And especially once I became a corporate, I'm like, these people cannot know that I talk to dead people on one side and I dance around bonfires with the other. They can't know. So I keep it really separate. I keep that nope, not me. That's my private life. But in 2008, when the big corporate crash came and corporate entertainment became a dirty word and reality television was going like this, somebody came to me and they go, Patti, we really need you to do a seance. We know what you could do. A seance is how you lift the veil. We really want you to do a seance on a TV show. I go, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I keep that private.
Right. That's my thing that I do.
I keep it private. Oh, please, we need you. I'm like, no, I keep it private. And I'm looking at my completely empty schedule because corporate had crashed.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what's the name of the show? And they go, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television. I'm like, well, nobody will watch that. Who in the world would watch a show called Mobile Home Disaster on country music television? Everybody. Who knew? But I didn't even know what reality was becoming. That was quite a while ago, and you didn't know it would become. And so I did it, and it was like the funnest experience I ever had. I mean, my whole thing, I don't care about what you believe. I'm about empowering people. People are amazing, and we forget sometimes how powerful we are. We forget. We give away our power to other people. We give away our power to fear and limiting belief systems. So that's my thing. So I got to help this little tiny girl in a mobile home. She was drawing portals on the ceiling and they thought she was crazy. I'm like, no, there's portals on the ceiling.
And you're like, no,
so I got to help a little spirit and I got to help a little girl. And I go, this is the funnest thing I've ever done. I'll never do it again. And I got to use all my background in front of camera and behind camera and my gift for the first time. But I'm like, never again. Of course, it aired a couple months later. My first phone call was from my biggest corporate client, a big bank company I just did shows for across the country. She's like, Patti, I saw you on TV last night. I'm like, oh, and my voice gets higher and higher. She goes, I didn't know you were into the paranormal. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, oh God, I'm never going to work for Bank of whatever again. She goes, I love the paranormal, and went into her first ghost tour. I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? This is who I am. And it's all those other things. I'm out of the closet. I'm out of the psychic closet, the medium closet, the ghosty closet. I'm out of the witch closet,
the broom closet.
and since then, I don't even have time. I still have my production company called Brain. I don't have time to do things because it went the other way. I am sitting in the middle of Hollywood. So it's like, name a show. It's like, we need either a psychic, or we need a medium, or we need a witch, or we need somebody to lift the veil. It's called Patti. So.
Right. So what's your favorite place you've been to so far?
My favorite place, I like Happy Ghosts, honestly. I like hanging out at the Biltmore or the Hollywood Roosevelt, where the ghosts are hanging from the ceiling because they had a good time there. They went to the Academy Awards there. Marilyn Monroe is always at the pool in the chiffon pool cover dress thing. And it's like having a good time. But, you know, people don't do that much on TV. They don't want a happy ghost. So you go to the insane asylum and you go to the prison, which is fun too. Right. I think my favorite place as far as scary and dark, and I've never been any place like it, is the Cecil Hotel.
The Cecil.
The Cecil. Half a block away, you start wanting to kill yourself. A half a block away, you're going, I am going to jump out a window. Yeah. And it affects everybody. Yeah. And I've probably been there almost more than anybody. I spent 2 nights there with Ghost Adventures with Zach and the guys. I spent a really long night there with my TFIL, my overnight, my YouTube guys. I just did a Mysteries Decoded, a CW show there. I just bribed my way in. It's not hard, with $100 actually. And, but I've never been anywhere like that. It's just been a place of horror since it was built in the 1920s, just before the crash. So spirits got created there, egregores and stuff. And what I'm planning to do now, I haven't announced it yet, but literally, I'm such weird light. I can't stand it.
Yeah, so I'm going to close the door. We have a little bit more lighting.
I'm just going to get closer. Okay. But what they're doing now, and the concept is really good. There's 700 empty rooms, and there's 700 empty rooms, and there's 1 million homeless people in Los Angeles. Right. So they're starting to move in the homeless people. Concept is great. But a place that makes you a healthy person want to kill themselves. Probably not when you walk in, for homeless and it really affects people who have mental deficiencies or addiction problems, which is pretty much everyone moving into whether it's just the homelessness gave them PTSD. So I want to do a great big some kind of a blessing. I wanted to do it on the equinox, the fall equinox. I may have to move it to Thanksgiving or something because I'm out of town, but bring together every healer, shaman, priest, rabbi, witch, Reiki master, and just do a great big kumbaya, hold hands around the Cecil Hotel. Don't let them move in, but just don't make them already. When I was last there, only 30 people had moved in out of 700 rooms, and they already look like zombies. Oh. You saw them walking in like this. Ambulances are pulling up every day. They're already overdosing, which is they've always done there. Right. So you don't want to say don't move them in because then you'd really look like the crazy person. And the concept is good. You just have to. They just have to do
the idea is good. The blueprint.
Yeah, the blueprint. The place is bad. I just cleared because I do a lot of clearing. I cleared a really nice because LA is like this. There's a high end, doorman loft building across the street, and I just cleared this house, and I'm putting so much extra eggshells along the thing and sigils and symbols because it leaks up from the street. Just pulls up from everywhere.
And is that you think what happened at the Cecil? Is it a portal there, or
there's definitive a portal there? I think whatever's underground. Anybody who's done anything downtown LA, there's something weird underground there. And then it's right where Skid Row is, so that the atmosphere of what's happened there is also going to happen. Right. And
one kind of piles
and I think just what pulled in Richard Ramirez and some other serial killer and whoever knows what happened to Lisa Lamb and people throwing newborn babies out the window.
It's just ick.
Yeah, it's just ick.
It is ick. But it's like one of those things where it's like the idea behind it's good. The idea behind to give people like low income housing is good, but like maybe not there. Maybe not there where it's just like a.
The first time I walked in, a rat didn't want to let me in. And I'm not afraid of rats, but usually they scurry away from you.
Yeah.
This one didn't. He scurried. I'd go right and the rat would go right. And I'd go left and the rat would go, are you trying to save me?
Are you trying to be like, no.
Possess me? Why? And it's already taking me over. And then I walk right in, and Zach and the guys already had all their equipment on,
Right.
and I'm already getting like practically possessed. And he's like, okay, there's 700 rooms. They're all open. You tell us where to go. And okay.
You're like,
and I went into the
anywhere?
elevator, and I'm like, oh, this is that elevator. And I immediately took them right to a room, and they hadn't seen it. And I didn't know where I was going. Zach never tells you where you're going. Right. He said, here's the address. Be there in 2 hours. I'm like, 2 hours? Do I have time to brush my hair? I'm a girl. What?
Do I have to get ready?
And it was out, and pulling up, I saw the water tower. I go, oh, that's that water tower. But I didn't know or remember anything about the Richard Ramirez, or even know anything about how many suicides. But I picked a room, went right to the room, and I'm going out to the window, and I'm opening the window, and we're up there a floor, and Zach's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got it. And he starts like kind of yelling at me, going, and in my weird trance state, I'm like, why is he yelling at me? He never yells at me. I just got to get out of here. Open the window. He's like, shut the window. Sit down. And I had no idea why. I had led them right to a room where somebody had jumped out that exact window. It's like, and I had no idea. I was just like, air, what? It takes you over. Yeah. I'm scared to death for those people.
Yeah, it's a lot of dark energy in that in that place, and that's it. And it's intense, and it's what's the hotel that they based American Horror Story, the Season Hotel is based off of the Cecil. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a good idea, but man, that is a crazy. But for happy spirits, you'd say like the Hollywood
Roosevelt, and the Biltmore, and the Biltmore has enough dark. I mean, every place has dark stuff.
That's the Black Dahlia.
That's the Black Dahlia. Yeah. She was everywhere. My gosh, that girl got around.
Yeah.
You walk into Borders, which is a club I go to all the time. The last place she went to the bathroom. Here's the last place she was seen at. Yeah. And again, the other second darkest place. Speaking of Black Dahlia, is the Sowden House, the Black Dahlia murder house. Pretty dark.
Because I know they were trying to investigate that a while ago. The house that they thought she was maybe buried at, but had a private owner, and the private owner wasn't allowing them to on the property.
But I've been there. I've filmed Ghost Adventures there. I filmed a couple shows there, and there is a it's always a dirt basement, so something like that. And one episode, the door locked going into the basement. It's that was my one danger thing. I was back at my house, and I broke one of my rules and doing something, and I hadn't set up my protectors and guardians, and I had Associated Press reporter coming over. It was kind of doing a crime meets paranormal thing, and I hadn't set things up, and it was going to be about the Black Dahlia. And that Dr. Hodel, pushed me into the back of my chair so hard that I heard this crack, crack, crack. I'm like, oh. Uh-oh. And I'm falling to the floor, and my then producer, she goes, are you okay? I'm like, nope. And I really always say I'm okay. I could have my hand cut off going, it's a flesh wound.
You're like, it's okay.
It's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, no, I had to go to urgent care. And I didn't break my ribs, but I'd ripped all the cartilage off my ribs.
Oh, wow.
Nope, invisible behind me. And it was him, because we were doing a whole thing on him. So my fault, because it didn't follow my rules. But yeah.
And that's something you usually do. That's like part of your
part of my gig. That's why I know my seances are going to be safe. That's why I know, because I've studied this my entire life. Yeah.
So what's the most you've done tons of seances for lots and lots of people, private and public. As a matter of fact, we do still have tickets available for private readings with Patti today in Virginia City. What's the most intense thing you've had happen at a seance?
It would have to be, and some of you forgive me if you've heard this, it would be when somebody burst into flames. Yeah, that's right up there. Actually, it's in my neighborhood. I live in the Hollywood Hills, old 1920s, built right under the Hollywood sign. First movie enclave, so it'd be a big movie star house next to a little writer's bungalow.
Like a big movie star.
Where Frank Capra and Harry Cohn's writing cottage where they wrote Wonderful Life is across the street from my house, and then there'll be whatever. And the house that this house is, it looks like a haunted house. It was built by Charlie Chaplin for one of his girlfriends. He had many houses in the area, and it looks like it was built like a mason or something. Like, wow, there's exactly 12 of these. There's literally a compass drawn in the floor when you go, like magical stuff, and there's all these symbols and sigils going, okay, ritual's been done here, magic's been done here.
Yeah.
And the house, it was a party house for years and years and years. And again, nothing wrong with partying, but it can bring in something dark.
Yes.
So years and years, it was a party house from Charlie Chaplin to early days of Hollywood. And then in the 60s, the Rolling Stones manager bought it. So the Stones stayed there, the Mamas and the Papas, Graham Parsons, whoever worked with them was staying in the house. Then they moved out, and then the guy who invented the real life sex doll moved in.
Okay.
And he even said it was a little scary for him. And then he moved out, and then my neighbor, Marilyn Manson, moved in and was my neighbor for 7 years, and actually got too scary for him eventually after a big incident with his girlfriend. But the house attracts creative, chaotic, sometimes dark people, and it has this vibration to it. And my thing about respect, which I'm even stronger with now in seances, like you got to respect. But this one kid, maybe because he was on TV, we were filming a documentary, a 4-camera shoot. So that's a lot, 4-camera shoot. And he got a little too disrespectful. First, cool things were happening, like the French door, something was doing, and the French doors flew open like this. And the producers had him. He's like, wow, I would never fake anything ever. But it's like right on cue. It's like, wow. And everybody's screaming, and then we close it. And then that happened again. And then all of a sudden, a speaker, like in old school, I didn't be old enough to remember how big your speakers were, the better. The speaker on the floor came on white noise, sounded just like a spirit box. It's like
just a static coming through.
Yeah, the static coming through. We looked later, it wasn't even plugged in.
Oh,
that happened twice, but this energy was building, and I'm like trying to keep control of it and everything. And this one kid was just being a smart aleck, maybe because he was being filmed, who knows? And it was a young audience, a young crowd, and young people, those of you who do it know that young people have so much life force. If you're just past puberty and not too far into your 20s, you're going to get paranormal activity no matter what, because they're life force. And that's what everybody around my table was. And this kid said something really stupid. We're working with the Ouija board. We were talking about the things that happened in the dirt basement back in like 30 something, whatever. And he said something so stupid, not him, but the cameraman directly across from him burst into flames.
Wow.
He was not standing in front of a fireplace or a candle.
Not anywhere near an open flame.
Anywhere near an open flame, like Spinal Tap, spontaneous combustion, a V up his back, like angel wings of fire. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
So cool. Witch, medium Patti becomes medic Patti. And I'm an EMT. I specialize in cardiology. I drop and roll. I'm like, oh my God, calling in all my protectors and da-da-da. It's like, roll and get the fire off your shirt. His shirt poofed off him like this, like it was a synthetic, but it was cotton. It should not have went like a polyester or nylon, but it did. As I'm watching the blistering on his back, I'm like, this is not okay. We are done. I don't care what.
Yeah, we're closing it out. Yeah.
But the guy who caught on fire, who was a super skeptic, all you skeptics out there, no, who was a super skeptic, he was like so intrigued. He spontaneous combusted. He's like, no, I'm okay. I have a sweater. I could take this shirt off. I have a sweater. I'm okay. I'm like, no. He's like, no, really, I'm okay. I talked to the spirit. I'm like, and it wasn't a demon. You guys, demons get way too much credit. 99% of what I think people think are demonic are just cranky.
They're just cranky ghosts.
Cranky
I say the
it's
same
like
thing
all the time. It's like, and he said he would be good. I'm like, we're not even going to get rid of you. This is your house. We know it. And yeah, the guy was disrespectful. And I knew the kid was going to be good now because he became the choir boy in the corner.
He was the church mouse.
And he was just like, other words, like, yeah. So we finished it, but other stuff kept the biggest I've ever seen a glass fly 10 feet when no one from a cupboard, and the stuff kept happening. Somebody tried to push that same cameraman off the cliff where we live.
Wow.
But the cool thing, the happy ending of all this is that 3 weeks later, the cameraman goes, Patti, look at my back. And where the blistering that I was noticing on the small of his back totally looked like he had went and got a tattoo of a dragon. Open mouth, sharp teeth, winged head, into the shape of a serpent. And that is the exact energy I called in to shut down the seance. I work dragon magic. It's crossroads energy. It's beautiful, powerful magic. I'm looking at his back and I'm like, oh my God, you have a tramp stamp of a dragon on your back. That is about the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life.
That is pretty
That's
metal.
awesome. And he thought so too. So he actually wrote a script about this TV psychic, TV medium who did every show basically about me. I'm like, better have somebody really famous play me, somebody really beautiful and young, but they haven't done it yet. But he wrote it with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series. It's really good. It's really scary and it's really funny. It's called The Portal if they ever do it. But they haven't yet. He keeps getting other projects. But I sat down with him, and this is a big thing for filming. Everybody who puts our stuff on camera, which we all do. I sat down with him for 5 hours and said, Laurent, you can't say that on camera. You can't have the actor say that, especially scripted stuff. He goes, but you said that. I go, I know I said that. That's powerful sound that does something. It opens up something. Yeah. You don't want to become one of those cursed horror films, do you? Where all the actors die at 27, and which happens all the time. Yeah. Because as energy, a spirit, anything doesn't know the difference of an actor reading something off a page, a script,
and an actual person saying,
and especially a good method actor who is on conjuring the whatever. No, let's change those words. They sound just as scary. They aren't going to affect anything.
Right.
And it'll be so. If they ever do it, it won't be a curse film.
It won't be like Poltergeist.
It won't be like Poltergeist. Yeah. It's like
don't use real bones. That's the point on that one. Don't use real bones.
Yeah.
So we're going to open up the floor because we have a couple more. We have about like 10 more minutes with Patti. Anyone have any questions for her?
Willow report.
A Willow report. I have a dachshund. Her name is Willow. She's very spoiled and she's very cute and she runs the wrong way. She's doing great. She has a new little kitten named Grace, Willow and Grace. And she's not quite the movie star yet that her predecessor Dora was. She hasn't learned to hit her mark, face camera, and smile yet, but she'll get there. But she's great. Thank you for asking. Everybody's going, what?
We found a dachshund shrine in a shop down the road. We were able to take some photos with Patti in front of it.
Oh yes, there's a whole dachshund. You buy dachshund everything, like me and my wiener. Don't trip over my wiener. Wiener humor everywhere.
Wiener humor all over the place. I think somebody in the chat had a question about like how you deal with skeptics.
Oh, I love skeptics. Number one, I love them because I think we all need to start out there because if everybody believed everything, it's like, oh, really? And skeptics, and I don't have a problem with somebody staying a skeptic forever because even the way I see spirituality, religion, but life systems, why is your truth any different or better than my truth? This is my truth. But I just like, well, this is how I see it. And that's fine, but they do fall the hardest. They do topple hard.
They do topple the
hardest if they do choose to believe. It's like, and it's great. But I love skeptics, and if anybody's just too want to believe everything, it's like then you're probably not going to get the best stuff of everything. So they're great, and if they stay skeptics forever, that's great.
That's fine too.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions for Patti?
How do you feel about Virginia City? How's your experience here?
I love Virginia City. I do. This is maybe my third time here, I guess. And it's just, every time you go, it's so active. And my idea, I think mining towns, because I've been to Virginia City and I've been to Nevada City, I've been to Butte, Montana, Vulture City, which we go, it's the metals that vibrate, that electrify, that amplify everything, and they're always in hilly areas, and whether it's gold or silver, all of the above, and there's almost always quartz underneath, so everything's amplified. Spirits are going to be amplified, highs are going to be higher, lows are going to be lower. And in my idea of spirits and ghosts and stuff is big in life, big in death. If you're Bob the quiet banker, you're going to be Bob the quiet ghost. If you're somebody, I'm going to go find gold in those mines, or I'm a movie star in Hollywood, you're going to be a big personality in life, and you're going to be a big personality in death.
That doesn't change much.
That doesn't change much. So when we run into the miners and the working girls who came out, they're people who were big and brave in life to do this, and that's what they're going to be in spirit.
And they're still walking around.
Yep, and they're still walking around.
We have about 5 more minutes. Anyone have any other questions?
Do you believe like that there is a heaven and a hell and people go somewhere, or do spirits just travel always?
I being as I've studied this my whole life, I think, but the closest thing that I get, and I think that the fact that we'll never exactly know is beautiful, and faith in itself is beautiful. But what I think is the truest is the ancient Sumerian belief system, which is you go to the heaven you believe in. Almost like the Matrix. If you're going, I'm working towards those pearly gates, you're going to get those pearly gates. If you like, I'm just going to become a part of that great consciousness, the Akashic records, and part of everything and everything, that's a go where you're going to go. And if you believe it's like, I'm just going to go, and you probably, nothing dies. Science has proven that over and over again. So it just shifts and changes. I've talked to dead people enough times. It seems to be a great experience. Dead people are almost always happy, and ghosts are almost always good, except when you have to go to the prison and then the same asylum.
And you get some cranky
but
ones,
just like most people are good. Go to the mall, go to the grocery store. 99% of the people there are good. There's the one cranky one, and there's the one evil one, but spirits too. I don't think they experience time and space, but I think there's reason to, in my belief system, whether it's, do you be good so you go to heaven, or you be good because we're just better to be good people? In my belief system, I went for a very pagan belief system.
Same.
And, we take responsibility for who we are. But I think whether you want to call it karma or this or that, there's something to that. But I do think it's closest to the Matrix. You're going to go kind of, we create it. We create our life here. We create our life there. Yes.
In the Bible it says, "Thou shalt not worship the dead." And we toss it back and forth. Are we doing something wrong? Because we enjoy interviewing the dead.
Well, and I'm not going to deny the Bible to anyone or anything, but if you study the Bible man changed the Bible. If you go to the teaching of Christ or Moses or anybody else like that, not what man changed it to. Christianity took reincarnation out of the Bible in the 1500s. You could study all of this stuff. And it's not the religion, the purity of the holy people creating it, or God or gods or whatever. It's what man did to control people. So it's like, we want to control you here. So
we feel good about
I feel good. And what I think, whatever your belief system, yay for it. But we have to develop our own sense of right and wrong, integrity to follow our path. You have to not have virtue, integrity, moral code, not morality, who does what with who, moral code. And if we all had that, what a great world it would be, no matter what we said our belief system was. And that's,
look at it like, and this is sounds true. We look at people like you, mediums. God gave them a gift.
Yeah.
Why would God give them a gift if He didn't?
If you didn't want to use it. If you weren't supposed to use it.
And then it's how you use it. If you're using it to help people and to uplift people, and again, for me, it's about letting them, remind them how powerful they are. How could that be bad when it's coming from love and coming from the heart?
As long as it comes from a good place.
Yeah.
And they usually does.
Good question.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much to Patti for being here with me. We do still have a couple, she's going to be doing private readings today at the Virginia City Vault. We do have a couple spots still available. So if anyone wants to go on the PayPal, sign up for that, that's here. You can absolutely do that. We do still have a few spots. So
okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll be right back.
We're dark hole right here.